And Miss Glenn, I think, is itching to call the roll.
Hello. Okay, good afternoon again. I'll start with you, Mr. Tuttle.
I am present.
Commissioner Wesley Curtis.
Present.
Commissioner Harold Day.
Present.
Commissioner Tom Griffin.
Present.
Commissioner Yvonne Hines.
She said present.
You're on mute.
Okay. Commissioner Hugh Jernigan.
Present.
Commissioner Dwayne Long.
Present.
Commissioner Chris Parker.
I'm present. I'm glad to see there's a happy Steelers fan in our mix.
That's right.
Okay. Commissioner Donald Stewart. Commissioner Donald Stewart. Commissioner Alan Younger.
Present.
Commissioner Charles Wilson.
Present.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Patrice.
You're
All right,
welcome.
everybody, welcome to the meeting light version of the Utilities Commission. And we have just a couple of agenda items, and I'll turn it over to Ms. Driver.
Thank you. Yes. Welcome, everyone. And we will keep this very short today, as we have just recently transitioned out of our old space. And so we spent a lot of time packing up boxes and didn't have as much time to, do our normal updates that we normally do. So I appreciate that. You're just allowing us to focus on the agenda today. So it should be fairly short. Before we get started, before I turn it over to Mike Quivisto, I will just do our normal introductions that I do. So again, I'm Courtney Driver, the Utilities Director. Damon Duquesne, Assistant City Manager, is also on the call. Patrice Glenn, Recording Secretary. Mike Quivisto, Deputy Director. Jan McHarg, Assistant Director of Solid Waste. Michael Stover, Assistant Director of Operations. Shane Chu Hoffman, Capital Projects Engineer. Todd Lewis, Senior Civil Engineer. Gail Kettler and Kyra Boyd, Communications Team. Lisa Saunders is our Chief Financial Officer. Jerry Bates is our Purchasing Director. And Jakira Westbrook with Office of Business Inclusion and Advancement. And I believe that Kirk's on the phone as well. But Kirk Bierling is our Real Estate Administrator, and then Marilena Jensen-Guthold is the Assistant City Attorney, and she's on the call as well. So if I missed anybody, please let me know. Oh, Lindsay Smith is also with us, and he's with Lindsay. I don't know what the current title of your department is. Sustainability, I guess. You can hear me.
Courtney, I just got signed on.
Okay. Is that Mr. Stewart?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for letting us know.
Okay, I have you down, Mr. Stewart. Thank you.
Okay, well, with that, I will go ahead and share my screen, and we'll start with the agenda. Okay. Let me get it. And anybody see it? All right, perfect. Okay, Mike.
Yep. All right, good afternoon, commission members. Hope you all are doing well. We will start with item 2, which is the one operations item that we have this month. We have 5 developer agreements with a total of $603,740 for water, $687,540 for sewer. Moving on to the finance items with item number 3, which is consideration of a resolution awarding a purchase order for an excavator. The Solid Waste Division needs to replace a 2001 excavator that is used to excavate soil and load trucks for covering waste at the Old Salisbury Road landfill. The equipment will be purchased from a local Caterpillar distributor through Sourcewell, a cooperative purchasing group who was awarded a contract for this type of equipment and from which Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utilities is authorized to purchase from per state statute. The total cost of the excavator is $313,690, which does include a trade-in credit of $24,000 for the current excavator. Staff recommends that a purchase order be awarded to Carolina Tractor and Equipment Company for an excavator at a total cost of $313,690 per the specified Sourcewell contract. Okay, item 4 is consideration of a resolution awarding a contract for utility structure adjustments. This item is to award a contract to locate, expose, and adjust utility structures that are situated in pavement, sidewalks, curbing, and in non-paved areas throughout Forsyth County. The work was bid on March 24th, with both bidders coming in well above the project budget of $247,500. It was re-advertised in August with the available budget of $250,000, and no bids were received. After 2 attempts to receive bids within available budget, staff reduced the project scope in an effort to meet the budget and negotiated a contract with Dalton Contracting, LLC, who was the low bidder for the first bid and who agreed to a negotiated price of $226,700. Dalton also agreed to the subcontracting goals of 5% minority and 5% women-owned businesses. Staff recommends approval of a contract with Dalton Contracting, LLC, in the amount of $226,700.
This is Harold. I got a question about that. If we got a contractor to cut his price in half, are we going to get half quality work? That's my question.
Mike Sober.
Yeah, I can answer that, Mr. D. They didn't cut the price in half. We removed some line items from the scope that really weren't particularly necessary. Manhole rehabilitation, valve replacement, and we cut it down to strictly structure adjustments.
Okay, so we cut
structure adjustment.
The scope of it.
Excuse me?
We cut the scope of the job. Then
we cut the scope. The structure adjustment unit items, the cost stayed the same. So he didn't cut his prices.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 5, which is consideration of a resolution approving a contract for HVAC replacements at Swan Water Treatment Plant. This item is for replacement of the original HVAC equipment at Swan Water Treatment Plant with new equipment to match the existing size, tonnage, and configuration. 4 bids were received, but the low bid submitted by Mechanical Maintenance, Inc. was based on equipment that did not meet required specifications and was deemed non-responsive. So therefore, it is recommended that a purchase order be awarded to Professional Air Systems, LLC, the lowest responsive bidder, meeting specifications in the total amount of $203,800. The construction estimate for this project was $225,000. Item 6 is consideration of a resolution approving an engineering agreement with HDR Engineering, Inc. of the Carolinas for engineering services associated with updating the water distribution system master plan. This item is for an agreement to update the water distribution system master plan, which was last performed in December of 2015. Staff requested statements of qualification and received 4 submissions. After reviewing the submittals, HDR Engineering, Inc. of the Carolinas was selected. Staff requested a scope and fee from HDR for the work and negotiated a fee of $349,925. Staff finds this fee reasonable compared to other projects with similar scope and services and recommends approval of an agreement with HDR for the project in the amount of $349,925. Item 7 is consideration of a resolution requesting that the City Council of the City of Winston-Salem accept a North Carolina Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan for the Nielsen Water Treatment Plant Modernization Project. This item is for a resolution requesting that the City Council accept a re-amended state revolving fund loan in the amount of $60 million for the Nielsen Water Plant Modernization Project. City Council had previously approved a resolution accepting a loan of $40 million. Since that time, the city has been approved for an additional $20 million. North Carolina Local Government Commission formally approved the re-amended loan in the amount of $60 million for a term of 20 years and a 1.11 interest rate. Staff recommends approval.
Hey, Mike, has that project been sent out to rebid? I know it was a high bid one time.
It has not yet. Courtney, do you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, I'll just jump in here. So we have not rebid that project. We rebid it in April, the April timeframe. And as you know, the bids came in really high. So I guess we put that project on hold, wanting to see what happens with the construction market. Our thought is that bid prices could come down, but obviously we don't know that for sure. But we plan to have Black & Veatch, which was our design engineer, come back and present to the commission in February to remind the commission why we need to proceed with this project, why we need to proceed with it as one project instead of breaking it up. You know, we could phase the project in and just to keep costs lower per contract, but ultimately we would spend more money over a longer period of time because we cut it up in phases. And so our recommendation is obviously to move forward with one project. Obviously, it'll be a higher amount than we had anticipated at the beginning of the project, but we want to come back, make another presentation to you in February, which will ultimately mean that we will more than likely be asking for additional funds during our capital program or capital budget process this year. I think the commission's already appropriated around $80 million, so we will be coming back for additional funding. And the plan would be to bid the project in the spring of next year. And that way we can award the construction project at the beginning of our next year's, next July, at the beginning of the next fiscal year.
Courtney,
Yes.
did Black & Veatch have any conversation with some of the bidders to find out what their rationale was for the high bids?
Yes, they did. And Mike Stover, do you remember exactly what they were saying? I think it's just the construction market and labor costs were up.
Labor costs were the big factor. I believe tariffs were having an impact on materials, but labor was the big thing, and it was going up across the state. It wasn't just one project.
That is one thing that we're going to, Black & Veatch, Mike Stover asked them to, look at bid prices again. Let's take a fresh look. So they're going to look to see what they're coming in at now, so we can have a good idea of what additional funding we need to ask for from the commission. Obviously, they'll look at some comparable water treatment plant bids to see, where they're coming in at, and we'll have all that to present to you in February.
I can't say shortage of materials and labor is a big problem right now. For the past 4 or 5 months.
Yeah. I think our low bid in April was over $100 million. I can't say, we were hoping that the project would come in around $70 million. I can't say that it'll be that low. I don't think it will, but hopefully we'll have something when we bid it in April timeframe that's more competitive than it was. A lower cost.
I would like to note on this item, we've only applied for funding for the amount of money the commission has appropriated to date. So we've not applied for anything above that amount.
That's a good point. Yep.
Thank you. Answered all my questions on that. Thank you.
So any other questions? Okay.
All right, thank you, Courtney. Moving on to item 8, which is consideration of a resolution approving a second amendment to the interconnection agreement and a power purchase agreement with Duke Energy Carolinas, LLC. On January 14th, 2019, the Commission approved a resolution authorizing the execution of a North Carolina interconnection agreement with Duke Energy that allowed the combined heat and power generator at the Muddy Creek wastewater treatment plant to be connected to Duke's electric distribution system. This generator uses biogas from the anaerobic digestion treatment process to generate electricity, which can be purchased by Duke. The resolution authorized an estimated payment of $596,643.36 to Duke for upgrades required to their facilities to interconnect with the generator. Additional work was required to upgrade Duke's Clemens substation and the 2.9-mile power line between the substation and the Muddy Creek plant. This work resulted in an additional cost of $136,743.94. Duke also provided an amendment to the original interconnection agreement, which will reduce the monthly fee for on-site equipment such as transformers from $808.77 to $772.71 per month. Additionally, Duke has provided a power purchase agreement, which will allow Duke to purchase energy from the generator, which will provide a credit to Winston-Salem Forsyth County Utilities between $307,000 and $388,000 annually, depending on peak hours and peak months. This resolution today authorizes the execution of a second amendment to the agreement with Duke with a reduced monthly fee of $772.71 a month, execution of the power purchase agreement, and a final payment of $136,743.94 to Duke as required for the interconnection work. And just as a note, based on these numbers, the project payback time frame of 16.4 years that we shared with you the last time we brought this item remains the same, and staff recommends approval. Moving on to item 9, which is consideration of a resolution approving an extension to the scrap tire processing agreement with U.S. Tire Holdings, LLC. This item requests approval of an extension to an existing service agreement with U.S. Tire Holdings, LLC, provide scrap tire removal and processing at Haynes Mill Road landfill. The current service agreement was approved in October of 2015 and will expire in December of 2020. U.S. Tire has agreed to continue providing services for passenger truck tires, passenger and truck tires at the current unit price in a renewed agreement. This unit price, which is currently $92.49 per ton, is adjusted annually according to the Consumer Price Index. Staff has reviewed the ability of other vendors to potentially provide this service and finds no service providers with a comparable and proven track record of processing scrap tires from customers generating the quantity that Forsyth County does. Consequently, staff recommends that the service agreement with U.S. Tire be renewed for an additional 5 years, with the contract timeframe commencing at the end of the current agreement. Based on historical tonnages, the value of the first year of the 5-year renewal is calculated to total $596,560. Funds have been previously approved and included in the FY21 solid waste budget to cover this cost. And for additional information, the Scrap Tire Disposal Act of 1989 bans scrap tires from landfill disposal, and units of local government are required to establish collection sites for the tires. Taxes collected at the point of sale are used to fund the program and are reimbursed to counties on a per capita basis to fund the collection and recycling of scrap tires. Any questions on?
I got one question. I know that's a lot of work to look. We don't have a lot of people out there that handle tires, and I guess the only other viable person right now wouldn't quite work because they don't offer the services U.S. Tire. But how come we have so much? We seem to have a lot of tires in Forsyth County. That for $596,000, that is a lot of tires. And that used to be, kind of figured the amounts would be like the population of your county. One tire per person per year is about what it came out to be. But we seem to have a whole lot of tires. Is there a reason for that, Jan?
I think part of the reason could be that Winston-Salem serves as a marketing center, metropolitan center for the area. So you could have people from the more rural surrounding counties coming to Winston to purchase their tires. So therefore they throw away the old tires in this county.
That's exactly right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Sure thing.
Thank you, Jan. That wraps up the finance items. Moving on to our one planning and policy item, which is just an informational item to let the commission know that the utility has certified completion of its American Water Infrastructure Act of 2018's required risk and resiliency assessments, updated its emergency response plan, and developed a source water resiliency and response plan. All 3 plans were completed and certified prior to the deadline set forth by the EPA in the North Carolina Department of Environmental Quality.
Thank you, Mike.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Mr. Griffin.
This Tom. Can we go back to item 8? I've got a question for Mike on that I should have asked.
For sure.
Mike.
Yes, Mr. Griffin.
With Duke Power, did we, I guess, make the determination that the infrastructure that they had to put in place to make this connection, that nobody else can benefit from that infrastructure? Or is there part of the line that other people can share service off of at some point in the future?
That is an excellent question, Mr. Griffin. I'll ask Lindsey Smith if he could step in there and help us with that.
Yes, my name's Lindsey Smith. I'm in the sustainability department, and I work with Duke Energy on a number of things, and last attended y'all's meeting in January of 2019 when you signed the previous resolution. But these are service requirements that Duke has for the generator to go online, plus what I'd call protection requirements, in that if anything happens on their facilities, a lot of this work has to do with relaying and other protective equipment to make sure that our generator is de-energized so that it does not feed back into what's supposed to be a de-energized circuit. So all of this work is being performed for our generator. However, if someone else were to add a large solar PV system on the Duke circuit or another generator, then Duke would not have to charge them for the work, since some of the work had already been done. This is a case where we were first, so we get to pay basically 100% of the cost. Some of these costs are, as we talked about even in 2019, are higher than what Duke had originally led us to believe, and even the additional charges this time are somewhat substantial compared to what they had estimated originally.
Is there anything, Lindsey, in the contract that allows us to get some sort of credit if somebody else goes on the system? And Duke has, they at that point, obviously those people are avoiding a cost that we had to incur to put the system in place so they could use it.
There is nothing in the contract that would allow us to get any credit. The most likely company, if you will, that might add some type of generator would be one of the large solar photovoltaic generation facilities that you see around the state. Currently, nobody has proposed a large facility in the Clemens area, so it's not likely that anybody's going to benefit from this in the immediate future, let's just say.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsey.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Lindsey. Now, Mike, see that if we ask a question which you don't know, you always say it's an excellent question. So that's our new goal.
Yeah.
Is to
they're all excellent.
all excellent questions. Okay, so I think we will head toward a consent agenda motion, but before we do so, any other utility commission members have any questions on the agenda items?
I'll move approval for the consent agenda, Chris Parker.
Okay. Any second?
Dwayne Long, second.
Mr. Long and Courtney, I believe agenda item number 10 is just for information only. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So Chris, is it okay for your agenda, your consent motion to be agenda items 1 through 9?
I move approval for agenda items 1 through 9.
Thank you, sir. And Dwayne, okay for that?
Second that.
Okay, we have, as you know, a roll call vote. Mr. Curtis,
Yes.
Mr. Day,
Yes.
Mr. Griffin,
Yes.
Ms. Hines.
Yes. Did you hear me?
We got you. Thanks, Vaughn. Mr. Jernigan,
Yay.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Parker,
Yes.
Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Mr. Younger,
Yes.
and Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Okay, that motion is approved. Courtney, any, before I ask for utility commission member comments, anything else from staff?
No, well, there's one thing that I need to update you on. So Lisa Saunders was planning on retiring at the end of the year, and she has graciously changed her mind and is going to stay with us for, I think she's still on the phone, but I don't know if it's another year or two. But so lucky for us, she will be around a little bit longer and can help us through our financial stuff. So
that is good news. So
yes.
At least if you're still here.
Still here.
I don't know if that's congratulations. That's congratulations on your new thought process.
Yeah. It's good news for us.
Really good news for us. All right, any commission
Lisa,
members?
I would like to say retirement's a lot better.
I just have a little bit longer to look forward to it.
You better enjoy it while you're young.
Absolutely.
Hey, Randall, I'd like to ask a
sir.
question. This is Dwayne. Courtney, this is you, but where are we with our water sales discussions? Probably to Oak Ridge and Summerfield out that way.
So there's not really a lot to update right now. I haven't heard from either, any representative from either of those entities. And so I'm not sure where it's at right now, but I definitely can check in with my contacts to see where that's at.
Okay, and we're still in good standing with Stokesdale?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Courtney, this is Chris Parker. I just got a question about how we are doing on the collections since we've, kind of started back on that.
Yeah, so I'm gonna turn this over to Mike. I should say excellent question.
That's an excellent question, Mr. Parker.
Let me turn this over to Mike Kay.
I'm trying to agree that was an excellent question. So thank you, Mr. Parker. So we have dwindled the number of accounts, and our billing manager is out of town, so I haven't gotten as much of an update as I would have liked to heading into this meeting. But there are fewer accounts, but the amount that those accounts owe is still continuing to grow. So, but on the revenue side of things, on our billed revenue, we're still tracking significantly above the budget, even through October. So it's still kind of mixed news, mixed signals there. And our spending is under budget and slightly ahead of last year now. So, we did get quite a bit of folks calling in for payment plans, but not as much participation as we would have liked. We'll be reaching back out to try to re-engage some of those other folks here shortly. But I think until January, until we start potentially terminating service again in January, we may have some difficulty collecting a lot of what's out there right now.
Any other questions?
Chris, did that answer your question?
It answered my question, maybe not like I would have liked, but I'll look forward to another report when we meet in December.
Yeah.
We'll have it ready then, sir.
Okay. Any other commission members like to add anything today? If not, I'll call on Harold Day.
Wait a minute. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa. Courtney.
Yes.
I had asked you about doing another presentation on the burning the trash. What do we call it?
Oh, you're talking about the incineration as an alternative to landfill to
plasma burner.
Uh,
I was wondering if you had thought about doing that or how soon you might be able to do it.
Yes, Jan and I can coordinate when we want to do that, and we can try to put that on the agenda soon.
Okay, another question. With all the time and the delay, I was wondering if we could make a trip out to Muddy Creek and see what we've waited for and paid for.
Yeah, so we are in the final stages of that. I mean, we're closing in on substantial completion. So it is getting to a point where we could have a tour of the facility and go out there, depending on how comfortable everybody feels with doing that. I mean, of course, we would be outside and we could socially distance, but we are getting into colder weather too, although it's very nice right now. So yeah, we can look at doing that as well.
But I would like to see how the end results turned out, because we did have a lot of conflict through it and a lot of time delay.
Well, I can tell you that even though the project is wrapping up, we will not be finished with closing out this project. So we will be coming back to the commission, updating you more than likely in closed session to get into all the specific details regarding the claims.
Okay, so there's going to be some lawsuits on what you're saying.
There, Marilyn, are you on the, I don't know if you call them, I don't know if it's lawsuit yet, but there definitely are claims that are outstanding that we need to settle.
Yes. I guess about $20 million worth of claims, and we're going to mediate first, and then we'll see if it progresses to litigation. The hope is not.
Is this claims against us or claims against them?
Well, both, cutting both ways, really. And they have submitted a number of claims against us. And we have outside legal counsel assisting us in managing those claims that they have been making. So we had originally planned to go to mediation in February, but we're thinking now that we're going to require a little more time than that in order to get prepared.
Okay. Well, I'd like to go out and kind of view what we've paid for and see the results.
And I would say, anytime you want to do that, Mr. Stewart, you can call me and we can set that up. We don't have to, it doesn't have to be a coordinated thing with the entire commission. We could try to do that if there's enough interest, but anytime you want to do it just individually, I'd be more than happy to work that out for you.
Okay. Well, I know one time before I did as an individual, and Keith was very good at showing me around.
Yes.
So I might, if the rest of the commission doesn't want to, I would probably like to myself.
Okay. Well, I'll just send something out to the group and ask who's interested, and we'll go from there.
Okay. And also, let's get that presentation in. I've really thought about it. I think we need to have some discussion on that.
Okay.
So, Mr. Stewart, I'd like to ask a question on your solid waste incineration or thermo. So what is your interest? I'm just curious.
I would just like to entertain it again. After thinking about it, I mean, you have something thrown out there, and it takes a while to digest what you see. And I've thought about it some more, and I think it's something worth entertaining for the future.
So are you suggesting we engage the consultant who presented to us before and bring that person back in, or is this more of a less formal discussion among staff reviewing the presentation that person
Well,
gave?
I think if it's possible doing the first, bringing the person back in, and I think at this point there might be more, since I have thought about it quite a bit, I think there might be more questions that I might ask now that I mean, you know, when you have something thrown at you initially, it kind of has, for me, it has to sit in and digest it. And I think I would maybe like to have the consultant to come back in.
The reason I ask is those consultants are not inexpensive. And it's just, I guess I'm trying to gauge if this is a.
Oh, Randall, this is Winston.
Yes.
So, I mean, I think I would certainly be in favor of a presentation, but I think the issue at the time was, I mean, it's a great idea, but the issue was just cost.
Yes.
I mean, so, I mean, our position doesn't put us, you know, at a point that we can do that. So yeah, if we have one and the cost is presented to us, I think we'd probably get the same outcome. Now, maybe we're thinking way down the road just to kind of keep it in everybody's mind, you know, about what's out there. And maybe the idea is just to confirm that the costs are still where they were, you know, at the time. But to me, that's what I recollect was that it's a great idea. I think we would do it tomorrow if the cost wasn't a cost issue.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think the cost, I mean, as we all see, I mean, the cost of everything goes up. I don't know if the initial cost today might not be better than to wait for the cost in 2050 and put the burden on the next generation. I'm thinking that's my rational decision as far as is the initial cost today worth investing versus waiting for a future cost. And as like I say, we've seen the Nielsen project go from 50 million to 100 million. So 30 years from now, what will it be? I mean, that's kind of my thoughts on it. And we'll, you know, they'll have to deal with buying more land or whatever. I mean, you know, so that's my thoughts on it. But, you know, sometimes the initial cost of something will weigh out in the long term versus the, you know, having to deal with it for someone to deal with it later.
Yeah, but I believe my recollection is initial cost and also the cost per ton was in the, I can't remember exactly, but in the 2 to 3x time frame or range, excuse me. So, but I think we all welcome questions like this, but maybe before engaging consultants, if I could ask Courtney and Jan to get together, maybe confer with me, and we'll just come up. I think Mr. Stewart's question is excellent. It's good to revisit this. I just am not sure we want to pay 5 figures, maybe without at least pulling back out the old presentation and looking at it. So, Courtney, can we touch base on that?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr.
If I could interject on that, we do have a lot of staff knowledge on that, and that also happened to be one of my things that I dealt with for many years, looking at different processes and those type of things. So I agree with, instead of paying somebody to come in and give us a presentation, a little bit of in-house discussion might be appropriate before we start spending money on it. Thank you.
Mr. Stewart, is that okay? And then if we have a conversation maybe next month or the following, and then if the commission wants to engage a consultant, I think that's fine. Is that okay with you?
I'd like to entertain it, and maybe on just our level to start with, and then we can see where we go from there.
Perfect. All right, that sounds like a good. Thank you. That sounds like a good resolution. And this is good discussion. Any other commission members have anything to add? All right, Mr. Day.
Is everybody through asking questions? One last
Sorry,
time.
Mr. Day.
Last call, last call. I'd like to make a motion that we go home. Oh, no, I'm at work. I'm sorry.
There you go. Second, Wesley Curtis.
Okay, we have a motion, a second for the adjournment of the meeting. Roll call vote, please. Mr. Curtis.
Yes.
Mr. Day.
Yes.
Mr. Griffin.
Yes,
And Ms. Hines.
that was a yes.
I heard a cough. Mr. Jernigan.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Mr. Parker.
Agreed.
Mr. Stewart.
Yes.
You know, Patrice, we got younger before Wilson. I just want to point that out.
Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Younger
Yes.
and Mr. Wilson.
Yes. Now that we've
Okay,
said
and
that, let me just share that the only time in my life when I was not toward the end of the alphabet was when I graduated from high school, and I was the very first to graduate.
There you go.
Constitution Hall, Washington, D.C.
So as a member of the Tuttle fan, I'm going to try to go in reverse alphabetical order in the future, just to give some respect to the W's and the Y's. So Wesley, you're going to go to the back of the line there. That's
Well, I don't mind that as long as we start with the last names, with the first names first.
there you go. Everyone, thank you for your time. And staff, I know you've had a lot of moving and challenges, so thank you for that. We look forward to connecting in roughly 4 weeks and hope you have a great, I can't believe this, beginning of the holiday season.
Yes, same to you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.